Welcome to the Locks and Dogs NFL Picks Podcast, Week 17 edition. We've got the NFL locks and a few dogs that you need to hear, and the podcast starts right now. Welcome back. This is Matt.
This is Mark.
At Locks and Dogs, cruising into Week 17. Mark, you're the king of Week 16, my friend.
Yeah, the king of Christmas 2023.
Christmas, dude. I think you had about 10 wins last week. Compared to I think I had about 6. You had like 10. So, yeah, let's just kind of do let's just kind of run through it and
I had 9.
I was giving you extra credit.
Oh, okay.
But either way, King of Week 16. What's Mark? Since you're the king, anything you want to say to your subjects?
Well, I'm glad to see the Dolphins lock paid off. That was kind of a gamble there, but I was feeling pretty confident about the Cowboys being bums.
And I was on the Ravens, so I was really happy to see that one win outright.
Yeah.
So that Cowboys pick was a good call.
Yeah, and your Raiders came through.
My Raiders did come through. Not only did they win, but they covered. Not only did they cover, but they won.
Yep.
Yeah, it honestly, I think it really made my Christmas complete, seeing the Raiders winning and Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce flipping out on the sidelines every other, at every break.
Patrick Mahomes crying at the end of the game.
Did he cry at the end of the game?
Yeah, he did.
Oh God, bro, it's the regular season.
Yeah.
So, all right, just kind of run through it real quick. First up, we had the Thursday night game: Saints at Rams. Rams 30, Saints 22. I was on the Saints. You were on the Rams. You got the easy cover. Looking back,
the Rams. Like I said before, the Rams are just a better team on both sides of the ball. Derek Carr's terrible. I like that Saints defense a bit, but Derek Carr is not good.
Oh, and the Saints need to score 15 points in the fourth quarter just to make that one like respectable. I think they had the ball at the end, like near the end of the game, and had a chance to potentially score a touchdown, potentially tie it up. But yeah, they just kind of choked it away at the end there. But either way, that game was the first 3 quarters were a nightmare for them. Except Steelers 34, Bengals 11. Mason Rudolph is the answer in Pittsburgh, is he?
It only took till Christmas Eve for the Steelers to find their quarterback, and he was buried on the depth chart the whole time.
Yeah,
and had been there for several years prior to that.
Yes, I don't know. I just think the Bengals are kind of cooked. They're sitting at 8-7. Sitting at 8-7. They're one of the blob teams. They're just so banged up on both sides of the ball. They had their big defensive tackle was out for the season, and he was out heading into that game, and just kind of it softened up the the inside of that defense a bit, and there was the Steelers were able to kind of beat them up and beat up the Bengals and get the W. The late game, Bills 24, Chargers 22. The Chargers almost stole this one.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, hindsight's 2020. I mean, looking back, I think we were going to see a bit better. We had to have seen a bit better effort out of the Chargers in after the appalling loss to the Raiders. But I didn't think this one would be nearly as close as it was. Didn't the Bills need like a last second field goal to get this win?
Yeah,
not good.
No.
Early games on Sunday: Falcons 29, Colts 10. Sadness.
The Colts really did not show up for that one.
No.
It's one of those things where we zigged when we should have zagged, because the Falcons at home have been pretty dependable. So I guess that's on us for fitting the Falcons at home.
Yeah. So, they were 5-3 at home, so it's not like they're a juggernaut, but still, they really showed up and showed out. They had the ground game going. They were more physical than the Colts was my takeaway, and it's really kind of what won them the game. Also, Gardner Minshew terrible. Next up, Seahawks 20, Titans 17. I, this is just kind of two mediocre teams like having a mediocre game. Uh, is really my. I mean, it was good to see Derrick Henry got going again. Good to see that he's not completely cooked. But there wasn't it this honestly this game was entirely forgettable. Is my takeaway.
Yeah, yeah.
Lions 30, Vikings 24. We had for this one it was Lions -3 was the line. We both covered this one. Yeah, it was honestly again it was just different. Again, just you had one roster that is leading the division and another roster that's just like like a middle of the division team, and that's kind of how this one played out. I just think the Lions are the more talented team, and in the end, the talent showed out. However, shout out to Nick Mullins, 411 passing yards, but 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this one you saw, but every time they would cut to him on the sidelines, he was ignoring his coach.
Oh, yeah.
Like there would be like some like like quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator like next to him with a pad, and he'd just be like staring off into the distance. Yeah, so that one was quality.
Remember 3 weeks ago when we thought everyone thought Josh Dobbs was the answer. Josh Dobbs was going to get him to the playoffs.
I don't think Nick Mullins is getting to the playoffs either. So.
No.
Except this one, Jets 30, Commanders 28.
Talk about a collapse by the Jets.
Just talk about a loser team bouquet. I mean, you had the Jets getting out to I think it was at one point it was 27-0.
Yeah.
And barely escaping with the win. My takeaway is that the Jets just they came back out for the second. They actually they didn't come back out for the second half. They're just like what we've done enough. We're just gonna it with this one if Jacoby Brissett isn't the starting quarterback next week in Washington, I mean I don't think he's ever going to get another shot at starting in this league again. I mean, this is 2 straight weeks where he's come out in the second half and kind of led this team where, Sam Howell looked absolutely awful for the second straight week.
Yeah.
So, Jets needed the last minute field goal to secure this win after getting up to the 27-point lead. Packers 33, Panthers 30. I think we were both on the Packers. This is one of our collective misses. The lesson learned here is that the Packers on the road cannot lay that many points. Anything more than a field goal, I don't feel comfortable laying with them on the road. So, I mean, if the Panthers were in this one, for the entire game, it was pretty close. It wasn't, I take that back. They kind of came back it was really more, they made it close in the fourth quarter, but I never felt they were out of it is the point. And Bryce Young actually had he threw for 300 yards, which I think is the first time in his career he's done.
Yeah.
So, except Browns 36, Texans 22. This is, just a great effort from the Browns. The Texans, they scored 15 points in the fourth quarter with, and they brought in Davis Mills to kind of dress this one up a bit. But this is, the Browns kind of dominating from beginning to end. And Amari Cooper going out of his way to wreck people in the fantasy football playoffs.
Yeah, just running up and down the field.
Yeah, pretty much. I was facing him in 2 leagues, and guess what? Both of those leagues not moving on. So, except Buccaneers 30, Jaguars 12. Yeah, this is the Jaguars packing it in. I think we're gonna be seeing them next September. I have a feeling. This is just Buccaneers at home. Good win. Good win for them. You were on them. I don't think I was. Just Baker Mayfield kind of continuing to lead this team. The defense showed out a bit. Trevor Lawrence left the game with another injury. This time it's a shoulder. So I think his status is finally going to be like legitimately in doubt as opposed to where it was just kind of in doubt previously.
Yeah.
Next up, Bears 27, Cardinals 16. Honestly, I was on the Cardinals. This is my too cute pick. You were on the Bears. This is the right pick, clearly. Yeah, just at no point, the Bears, they got up early and they just kind of were able to kind of cruise to a win. I never really felt that the Cardinals were in this, if I'm honest.
Yeah, yeah, no, they did not look good.
Yeah, this is just again a pretty one of the better efforts from the Bears offense, at least in terms of just production. There were a few weird things they were doing in the second half. They could have done a bit more to kind of salt that one away. But at the end of the day, they got the double digit victory, which is what, kind of what you can all you can ask from them.
Yeah.
Next up, Dolphins 22, Cowboys 20. You were on the Fins. I was on the Boys. Um, Wait a second. -1.5. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You probably could have gotten this one at -2 or 2.5. I actually played. I believe it or not, I actually middled this one. I bet it early in the week on the Dolphins money line, and then I bet it live.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I was able to get. I think I got like Cowboys like +3, so I was able to middle this one, cover both. Um, but either way, yeah,
But yeah, the Dolphins. Speaking of fantasy, I had the Dolphins kicker who put up 22 points in fantasy.
that's
Like
awesome.
he was kicking the Dolphins to victory.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, just this is just the type of win that the Dolphins actually kind of needed. They're 7-1 at home, so you got to start to respect them. In Miami, but yeah, the Cowboys just didn't show up for this one, which is kind of what what you expected. So you had the call on this one all the way. I feel nice job by you on that one.
Oh, lock it up.
Next up, Patriots 26, Broncos 23. Honestly, I think when I think I saw like 80% of the bets were on the Broncos for this one, and I'm just like, oh, I think we might be in trouble here. And sure enough,
Yeah,
yeah, there were. Although I think there were, there were some. I think there was the one defensive touchdown that kind of made it a bit weird, and then the Broncos just kind of again they dressed it up at the end. They scored 16 points in the fourth quarter to kind of make it sound a bit better and make it so Russ could throw that dramatic Hail Mary that was never going to get caught.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this one was a weird game from beginning to end. It just felt odd, and it was odd, but Patriots get their fourth win of the season. Way to go! The Christmas Day, aforementioned Christmas Day game, Raiders 20, Chiefs 14. I was the Raiders. I was on that one from the beginning. I knew that the Chiefs just don't drill people, and guess what? They didn't. So yeah, this was
well,
go ahead.
for the Chiefs. It's not just drilling people. They didn't look competent at all.
No, the two defensive touchdowns in about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The Chiefs are in trouble.
yeah, they really are. So also, I believe uh, the Raiders didn't complete a pass in the entire second half and still managed to win by 6 points.
That's true. Yeah,
That's wild. Next up, Eagles 33, Giants 25. The Eagles they wanted to cover that spread. They were trying to cover that spread, but
Tyrod came through.
yeah, Tommy DeVito ended up. I thought he was hurt. It turns out he's got benched.
Yeah,
Which,
I want.
go ahead.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but I wonder whether or not the DeVito era is over in New York.
Okay. I knew he was in a bit of trouble when they did like a big like pregame thing on him. Like they had like a sit down interview with him. And typically when you get the quarterback that's kind of not very good doing the sit down interviews, that's when you can kind of tell it's the beginning of the end. So I kind of had a feeling we were at the beginning of the end there. So and lastly, the heavyweight matchup on fighting on Christmas Day in San Francisco. Probably for some money with the Ravens 33, 49ers 19. Yeah, the Ravens showed up and just kicked the ever-loving shit out of the 49ers.
Yeah, I was calling for Sam Darnold to get in the game sooner.
He did.
He did, but it was way too late at that point. I don't know if Brock Purdy was concussed or blind, but he looked absolutely terrible.
Week 17, Thursday Night Football, and we've got a doozy of a Thursday night game. Jets at Browns. Browns -7.5. Over under is 36 points. The early wagers on this one: 64% of the bets in the spread coming in the Browns, 52% of the bets in the over, and 93% of the money line bets coming in the Browns, locking up that sweet -370 action. Mark, how are you starting out Week 17 on Thursday night?
Going with the Browns minus 7.5. Um, I'm a bit worried about that point total. The Jets defense, is still playing to some degree.
I
Um,
gave up 28 points to the to the commies.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, if Joe Flacco does what he did, with Amari Cooper, last week,
Hmm.
yeah, I could see the Browns torching the Jets pretty easily. Yeah, again, the Browns are just the better team on both sides of the ball. They're at home. Um, I'm assuming Trevor Simeon's going to start for the
I
Jets.
don't know who else would.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, Zach Wilson didn't want to play anymore, and he might not want to play. He might not want to play this week
I
either.
can't
But
say I blame him.
yeah, but yeah, again, the Browns are they're still a better team technically. I don't think they're locked into the playoffs just yet. So they still have something to play for. So yeah, give me the Browns minus 7.5.
Is this a Joe Flacco revenge spot?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they didn't call him when they could have. Um,
Apparently, he and Aaron Rodgers don't like each other.
I could see that.
I I had no I didn't know that there was that level of animosity between those. If anything, either way, I wouldn't have guessed that there was any animosity between. But apparently, they don't see eye to eye.
You
Um, I think it goes back to the vaccination thing. Like I think Joe Flacco did not get vaccinated and was like proud of it, whereas Aaron Rodgers, like remember he said he was immunized, but he did like some kind of holistic treatment. This was to give him advanced immunity against COVID.
hmm
Um, and then it turned out, everybody took that to mean that he either took the vaccine or was lying. And it turns out he was just being a weirdo. Whereas Joe Flacco was like, I'm not getting vaccinated. No.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's what it goes back. Either way. Yeah, for this one, I'm on the Jets plus 7. And let me tell you what, I think this is a, the Browns, they okay, they beat the Texans by 14, but that Texas team is a pretty big mess right now. They don't know what they're doing. They tried to roll out Case Keenum at quarterback. That didn't work. They brought in Davis Mills. He was able to move the ball a bit. I just think it's just too many points on a short schedule. I think this one's going to be kind of like a one of those rock fights where it's just kind of like ground and pound back and forth. I do think the Browns win outright. I would not be looking to bet the Jets in the money line at all, but I kind of like the Jets to cover the 7. Uh, Again, thought process is that this is going to be like a 13-10 win, um, where the Browns do like just enough to come away with an ugly victory on a Thursday night. Um, and if it's going to be like a field goal game or like a 1-score game, give me the points is my thought process. I'm not looking to like lock this up. Or I'm not looking to money line it, but I do think given the size of the spread here, I just want to be on the team that's getting the points in this one.
Yeah, and I think this is our last Thursday night game of the year, unfortunately.
I honestly I can't wait to be rid of these. Although I will say, like, if this game was on in June, I would watch every second.
Oh yeah,
Except the lone Saturday night game, we get I'll say
this is the Monday night game on Saturday because there's no Monday night game this week.
it really is that what they're calling it?
Well, no, well it's on ESPN, so it's their Monday night package. So
God, okay, no, this is Monday Night Football presents Saturday Night Football.
yeah,
Lions at Cowboys. Line on this one. Oh shoot, sorry. Line on this one. Cowboys -6. Over under 53.5. The early numbers here. 64% of the bets on the spread coming in the Cowboys, 95% of the bets on the over, and 54% of the bets on the money line coming in the Cowboys. Again, I think this is just too many points. I think the Lions can score with the Cowboys. The Cowboys need this one a bit more, so I think this might be a kitchen sink game for this one. So I kind of do like them to win outright, but I do think this one is going to be close. But the Lions, they just from an offensive perspective, I think they can hang with the Cowboys at home. I think if if the Cowboys start like slinging it all over the place in Jerry World, I think the Lions will be right there with them. I think they've got the enough weapons to make it to make it competitive and to stay in it, but I don't know if they're going to win outright. I'll say final for this one is Cowboys 30, Lions 27. Lions get the cover. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, I like the Lions plus the 6. The Cowboys have done well at home. Cowboys
Hmm.
blowing out teams at home have kind of been their bread and butter.
Hmm.
The Lions have locked up the division. Like you said, the Cowboys still have something to play for. So I am a little concerned of the Lions possibly taking their foot off the gas on this one.
Hmm.
However, I do expect the Lions to cover, not necessarily win. So yeah, give me the Lions plus 6.
Okay, right on. All right, we're gonna find this next game. Okay, next up, 49ers at Commanders. Line on this one is 49ers minus 13.5, over under at 49. The early numbers here, 73% of the bets in the spread coming in the 49ers, 71% of the bets in the under, and 97% of the bets in the money line coming in on the Commanders. All right. For this, honestly, I'm on the 49ers. This is the get right spot for them. The Commanders are pretty much done. They're not going to come in and out muscle the 49ers, especially not after that game we just saw. Only concern for me here is that the 49ers are really banged up on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They were down to 5 healthy offensive linemen total last week. I think they're going to need this week to get healthy, to get the guys back that they need, activate whoever they need from the practice squad. But they're not going to come out and get pushed around by the Commanders, I don't think. The real strength of this Commanders team is their defensive line. Oddly enough, still, even though they traded away their top 2 pass rushers, they still have a solid D line. It's a bit concerning considering how banged up the 49ers are. However, I just think the overall weapons that the 49ers have, it's just gonna, they're gonna be able to score at will. Just by being able to put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands and Deebo Samuel's hands and Brandon Ayuk's hands, George Kittle. It's just going to be too much for the Commanders to stay with. And I think the 49ers defense, honestly, I think this is a get right spot for them. It really wouldn't shock me if there's a 49ers defensive touchdown here. I like the 49ers to roll. They're probably going to win by 20. What's it? Where are you at with this one?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Excused.
Yeah, I like the 49ers minus 13.5. It'll be interesting to see if the Commanders start Jacoby Brissett as opposed to Sam Howell.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a good right spot for the 49ers. They really kind of embarrassed themselves on Christmas night at home against the Ravens. Like you said, I think that roll over the Commanders on this one.
Yeah, there's been no announcement. There's been no announcement as far as the starter for the Commanders. It seems like it's trending that way based on some of the comments I'm seeing. But it looks like they want to give they might try to go with Sam Howell at least to start with this one again. So something to keep in mind as far as that one goes. Yeah, just keep an eye on the quarterback situation there. Okay. Next up, Cardinals at Eagles. Eagles minus 11. Over-under is 49. Early numbers here, 67% of the bets in the spread coming in the Cardinals, 67% of the bets on the under, and money line is split 50-50. Mark, what are you doing here?
Going with the Eagles minus 11 might lock this up also. After seeing the Cardinals put out a poor performance against the Bears the other night. Even though the Eagles have been struggling recently, I think the Eagles at home, roll over the Cardinals pretty easily. It seems like they've pretty much packed things in, for the year. Whereas the Eagles potentially still have something to play for. Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to roll over the Cardinals the same way, probably even in better fashion than what the Bears did the other night.
I'm on the same page. Honestly, I'm on the same page with you completely. Um, again, I don't. I think yeah. The Eagle, just given their recent struggle, outside of this past week, given their recent struggles, I think the Eagles do need this game a lot more than they need this game. Period. And honestly, this Cardinals team, you punch them in the mouth and they roll over. If you're remotely physical with them, you're just gonna, kind of, they're just gonna kind of disappear. So yeah, give me the Eagles. I think they win by 20. I don't think this one's close. Um, So yeah, same page as far as that one goes. Next up, Falcons at Bears. Bears -3 is the line. Over under at 39. Early numbers here. 57% of the bets in the spread coming in the Bears. 60% of the bets in the under, and 62% of the money line bets coming in on the Bears. All right. Honestly, for this one, Bears minus. I'll give me the Bears. I'll lay the 3 points. This is warm weather city coming to cold weather city. It is going to be a bit cooler next weekend than it was this past weekend in Chicago. So there might be, the weather might be a bit of a factor from that perspective. It's also outdoors in December, late December. This Falcons team, they got the good, they got the win at home, but get them outside of that dome and I think they become a lot slower. Also, I like the matchup for this Bears defense. Honestly, the more I watch this Bears defense with Montez Sweat, the more excited I get for next year. They can rush the passer, they can defend the run. It turns out the secondary actually doesn't suck. They actually have a few playmakers back there. They just didn't have a pass rush. When you have 4 defensive linemen, pushing their hands into offensive linemen's chests, you're not gonna, you can only cover for so long. That's not the case anymore. The Bears were able to get loose in the D line and generate a pass rush with Montez Sweat. So I think this is a great spot for the Bears. The offense is playing well. The defense is looking as good as it's ever looked under Matt Eberflus. I'm actually kind of excited to see this game and looking forward to seeing the Bears at the end of the season here. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, I like the Bears minus the 3.
Mm-hmm.
It should be noted that the Falcons are 2-5 on the road this year.
Oh boy.
So they have not performed well when on the road. Yeah, for basically the same reasons you stated. The Bears defense has been playing well. Offense has been looking good. Also, I'm not really threatened by Taylor Heineke, although I will say it looks like they did utilize Bijan a bit more last week.
Yeah,
against the Colts. Be interesting to see if they stick with that game plan. But yeah, I mean, technically the Bears aren't out of it. Technically, they still have something left to play for. But yeah, give me the Bears minus 3.
Right on. Okay. All right. Next up, Dolphins at Ravens. Line on this one, I've got Ravens -4, over under at 47. Early bets on this one, 59% of the bets coming into the Dolphins, 93% of the bets in the over, and 55% of the money line bets coming into the Dolphins. Okay. My takeaway from last night is that the Ravens are gonna kick the shit out of the Dolphins. A bit concerned on the injury front. The Ravens had a couple guys, go into the tent last night. The safety Kyle Hamilton was one of them. I'm assuming he plays. I don't think he's that hurt unless there's been news that I've missed today. I haven't seen anything, but let's see what we got from news here. Oh, fan base holds breath after Kyle Hamilton injury. Yeah, he picked up a knee injury. Either way, don't care. I think that the Ravens are just way too physical for the Dolphins. It's they're going to push them around. Is how I see it. They're going to. I think they can. The Ravens can if they can push around the 49ers, they can push around just about anybody. Again, I think they're just going to come in. It's going to be the kind of game where they come in, punch the Dolphins in the mouth, and they kind of turtle up, and the Ravens roll. I'll lay the 4. Give me the Ravens. Mark, what say you?
I like the Dolphins +4. I don't expect the Dolphins to win, but I do like their ability to cover in this game. Don't feel great about it. I don't know that the Ravens are going to dominate Um, the Dolphins the same way that they did the 49ers, mainly because I don't see Tua putting up, 4 interceptions throughout the course of the game. So I think this
Gonna
one's
for
probably
5.
right. Yeah. So I do think this one's a bit more competitive.
Okay.
I like the Dolphins to cover.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up, Patriots at Bills. Line here. Bills minus 12, over under at 40.5. Early bets in this guy. 51% of the bets in the spread coming in on the Bills, 78% of the bets in the under, and 88% of the bets in the money line coming in the Bills, locking up that sweet, sweet minus 750 action. What are you doing with this game?
I like the Bills at home.
Okay.
So I'm going with. I'm sorry. Let me take a look at something here real quick.
Sure.
Um, yeah, the Bills are 6-2 at home this year. So I like the Bills minus the 12. I realize it's a lot of points, um, but the Patriots win against the Broncos. That was kind of a one off for me. I think that the Bills are basically a better team on both sides of the ball. They have better talent on the team. Better quarterback, better defense, better receivers. Um, so yeah, I think the Bills could probably beat this Patriots team by 14 if they had to. Um, and plus, the Bills still have something to play for. They haven't locked up a playoff spot yet. And this is a division rival, so I like the Bills minus 12.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So this one, I'm on the Patriots. I just think again, I just think it's a case of too many points. I'll take the Patriots plus 12. Um, thought process here is that the Patriots defense has been standing up a bit, and the offenses look better under Bailey Zappi than it ever looked under Mac Jones. I don't love this Pats offense, but again, I don't love the Bills defense either. This is not the same Bills defense from last year. I do like the Bills to to get the win here. However, I do not like them to cover this. I think this is it's gonna be like a typical kind of like black and blue, you know, AFC East matchup where the final. I'll say 20-10 is the final. Okay, Bills win by 10. But Patriots still cover the 12. I just think it's too many points. So that's sort of the thought process I got going into it. I'm not going to lock up the Patriots on the money line. But I do like them in this game, in this divisional matchup to keep it close at least. All right. Next up, we've got Saints at Buccaneers. Its line on this one is Bucks minus 3, over at 42.5. The early numbers on this one. I gotta find it. Okay. 61% of the bets on the spread coming in on the Saints, 70% of the bets in the over, and 59% of the moneyline bets coming in on the Bucks. Okay. Buccaneers are again our ATS darling. They're 10-5 this year against the spread. Mark, what are you doing with this one?
For this one, take a look at something here. Yeah, I like the Bucks minus 3. Again, Derek Carr is terrible. I don't really. Um, again, I would prefer that they have Jameson there as their starting quarterback.
Mm.
Baker on the other hand, is improved week over week. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the game that's probably going to decide who wins the division when it's all said and done. But yeah, I like the Baker Bucks at home. Their defense has been playing well. Still like the Saints defense on a certain level, but I I I have to fade Derek Carr. For these next 2 weeks. So yeah, give me the Bucks minus 3.
Okay. I like the Buccaneers as a dog. I do not like them as a favorite. Give me the Saints plus the 3. I think so somehow this one, is going to be a close game. I just have a feeling of, I'll say Buccaneers 21, Saints 20. Buccaneers get the win the division, but it's a close game. Saints cover this one. Find a way to cover this one. I don't love the Saints team. I do think the defense can do enough to slow down Baker. Also, I kind of feel like the Bucs should do for a letdown spot, even though it is at home. They've been playing way too well not to lay an egg in one of these last two games. Again, they're not a very good. They're 8-7. Let's not kid ourselves here. They've been pretty mediocre for most of the year. They have shown improvement, but I still think they're capable of laying an egg, especially against a tough defense. As far as the Saints go, they just got to run the ball. Just run the ball 50 times a game. Just let that be your offense,
Or give it to Taysom Hill.
Or give it, or run the gadget package with Taysom. There you go. But just don't let Derek Carr throw the ball. That's how you win this game. So, alrighty. Next on the list, Panthers at Jaguars. Line on this one, Jaguars -7, over under at 38. The numbers here. Okay. 52% of the bets in the spread coming in the Jaguars, 67% of the bets in the over, and 55% of the bets on my line coming in the Jaguars. Honestly, this game is probably one of the toughest to handicap right now. I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to sit. He might try to give it a go. Who knows? He hasn't. I don't think he's missed a game yet. But he's pretty banged up. He's got at least 3 ailments that were I think he had the the ankle injury. He's got a shoulder now. I think didn't he have a concussion also?
Yeah.
So he's been getting pretty beat up. I think they end up sitting him. If they're gonna clinch a playoff spot, they're gonna need him. If it's CJ Beathard, I'm all over the Panthers. You know what? I'm on the picks page. I've got I took the Jags. I'm changing it up. Give me the Panthers plus the 7. We've seen them come out and cover these past 2 weeks. Oh, they won outright against the Falcons, and then they covered this past week against the Packers. It's a non-conference road spot. Okay, it's not that bad of a travel day. You're going from Charlotte to Jacksonville. It's not that brutal of a travel schedule. And honestly, Bryce Young, he's coming off the best game of his career. Maybe he can keep it going. But I don't like what I've seen from this Jaguars team. I saw them; they kind of gave up against the Bucs, is what I saw. They did not look good, even down the stretch of that one. So, give me the Panthers. As bad as the Panthers are, I see the arrow on the way up, and where the Jaguars were there, I see the arrow on the way down. I don't think that. I think this team kind of peaked way too early and is now just not where they need to, with playing the kind of football they need to be to make the playoffs. So give me the Panthers plus the 7. Consider sprinkling the money line.
You almost convinced me.
I knew it's the Jaguars, so I know you're already predisposed to just take them, just blindly or whatever the Jaguars say. Oh, I'll take the Jags. So I didn't think I was going to win you over for that one, but I'm
going to stick with my Jaguars pick of Jags -7. It should be noted that the Panthers are 0-8 on the road, and the Jaguars are 3-5 at home. So we don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to start yet. It might be CJ Beathard. It should also be noted that the Jaguars were able to steal Matt Barkley off the Giants practice squad. So now we know where Matt Barkley's been hiding for the whole season. I don't expect Matt Barkley to play, but my thought process on the Jaguars has been the same all year long. I feel a bit more confident about this if Trevor Lawrence does start, but I just like. Well, we've talked all year about how the Panthers roster is terrible. I do like the Jaguars roster. I think they have better weapons with, Evan Ingram and ETN. So I'd feel a bit more confident about it if Trevor Lawrence does start. But I do like the Jags -7.
Right, fair enough. I just think it's just a case of way too many points, and in watching these teams the past 2 weeks, I feel like I can't say the Panthers are. I want to say they're improving, but I need a word that isn't quite as strong as improving. Like
Yeah.
doing less bad. Like, is there a word for that? I'm not sure how to put it, but either way, I think the arrow was pointed up for that team, at least towards the end of the season here, and I do not feel the same way about the Jaguars. So I'll take the points. So, all right, next up, Rams at Giants. Rams -6 in the line. You got West Coast to East Coast, and they're laying 6. Over under at 42. The early numbers here, 87. Oh God, 87% of the bets on the spread coming in the Rams, 62% of the bets in the over, and 94% of the money line bets coming in the Rams. All right. What are you doing with this one?
Well, we don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Giants at this point. They haven't said, um, whether or not it's going to be Tyrod or Tommy DeVito. Um, that being said, I'm going with the Giants +6. Excuse me.
Here's the head, Giants Brian Daboll Mama and starting QB after Tommy DeVito's benching.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Rams still have something to play for. They're still playing for that wild card spot. Um, I I like the Giants to cover here, like they did last week. I actually feel a bit better about it if Tyrod's starting as opposed to Tommy DeVito. But that being said, I like the Giants to cover in this game, not necessarily win.
Oh, Tommy DeVito had a couple fantastic quotes after the game here. It's tough. It's just a constant reminder that it's a business. At the same time, it's a business. It's your job. Respect it. There's no hard feelings one way or the other. I was hoping he was going to go out there and ball and we win the game. It's nothing more than that. That's all it is. Sorry, I was doing my best Sopranos voice there for the Tommy DeVito quotes.
Yeah.
I think I think Tommy DeVito starts.
Okay.
I think he starts. So either I like the Rams here minus the 6. I just think it's the better roster, better team. The Giants are trying to play spoiler, and they did stand up a bit against. They did not get run over by the Eagles, but that's like their big rival. Like if they're going to stand up against anybody, it's going to be them. I think this is going to be kind of like like an emotional like letdown for the Giants, especially if the Rams can get up and get out early. And also the Rams coming off the mini bye. I kind of feel like the veteran team kind of needs that a little bit at this time of the year. So they got the extra couple days off. They do okay. They do have to go West Coast to East Coast. Not the end of the world. I still think it's the better roster, better team. I think the Giants are going to be a bit undermanned for this one. So give me the Rams. I'll lay the 6. Also, you got to remember, like the Giants' offensive line is not good.
No, they're not.
And I mean they did okay against the Eagles this week, but Aaron Donald's coming to town now, so yeah, I don't. That's a bad matchup for them. Is that Rams D line versus the Giants O line? So yeah, give me the. I'll take the better roster. I'll lay the 6. All right, next up, Raiders at Colts. Line on this one is Colts -3, over under at 44. The early numbers here are 68% of the bets in the spread coming in the Colts, 60% of the bets in the under, and 57% of the bets on the money line coming in the Colts. Okay, I'm riding the Raiders. I got to ride the hot hand. I'm sorry. I've been ever since they made the switch to the interim head coach. I've been kind of riding them a bit. I think they found an identity, and they've kind of and they obviously like playing for Antonio Pierce. I mean, this is a case where like an interim head coach could actually get the full-time job, because it's obvious he's got the locker room. They're still playing hard. They're still technically in the hunt, and we've seen the Colts come out. They came out last week and just laid an egg. I it is okay. It is West Coast to East Coast, but even I'm sorry, West Coast to Midwest technically. Um,
Yeah.
but either way, I think the Raiders are playing the better brand of football. Okay, I do think this could be potential letdown spot for the Raiders. I see the case for the Colts, but I'm riding the hot hand at this point. I'll like give me the 3 points, sprinkle the money line on the Raiders. Mark, what say you?
I like the Colts -3 here. Like you said, they kind of laid an egg last week against the Falcons. So I like them as a bounce back spot here.
Hmm.
The Raiders, on the other hand, it's been a nice story with the interim head coach. They got a real signature win against against the Chiefs last week. Um, I think this is probably a bit more of a competitive matchup for them because both teams still have something to play for. They're still both
Hmm.
fighting for a wild card spot. So for me, ugh. So for me, it just comes down to I'm gonna take the points with the home team. I think it's a close game, so I like the Colts -3.
I don't disagree. As far as a close game, I think the Raiders are going to win this one outright. I think they found their identity. They can do enough on defense to make Gardner to give Gardner Minshew a rough afternoon. And I think they can do enough on the offensive side of the ball with the ground and pound and Aiden O'Connell not making mistakes. Also, I don't know if you've seen the comparisons between Aiden O'Connell and Officer Farva from uh, Super Troopers.
Oh no, but I believe it.
If you look at a photo of the two side by side, you're never going to be able to unsee it.
Ugh.
So, give me quarterback Farva. All right, next up, Titans at Texans. Texans -3.5, over under 42.5. The early numbers here: 59% of the bets in the spread coming in the Texans, over under 50 split, and the money line 53% of the bets on the money line coming in the Texans. What what do you do with this?
So I think it's been several weeks now since CJ Stroud has been in concussion protocol.
Yeah,
I've lost track of time at this point around the holidays.
no, he's been up the last 2 weeks with it.
Yeah. So it has been 2 weeks. Yeah, it has been 2 weeks. So I would expect him to come back at this point, although they haven't said, they haven't made an announcement. They'll probably happen tomorrow on Wednesday.
Well, the quote here is that there's optimism that Stroud could be ready to play next week, and this is
Yeah.
from Adam Schefter reporting for ESPN.com.
Okay.
So,
So that being said, I'm working under the assumption that Stroud will be playing, and because of that, I'm going with the Texans -3.5. Again, they're still playing for that wild card spot, whereas the Titans are potentially, they are, yeah, they have been eliminated. Um, it seems like Will Levis will probably start again for the Titans, but again, they'll probably announce that tomorrow.
I thought they were going to go with Ryan Tannehill.
Well, Levis was injured. I think he had an ankle injury.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't know that they. I thought I saw something today saying that, um, if he's healthy, that Levis could start. But again, they're not going to make that announcement until tomorrow.
All right. This is the way I see this Shroud. Apparently, he was showing in week 13 he wasn't removed from the game after showing signs of ataxia. So it's possible he suffered two concussions like a few days apart. So that's likely the reason there. Also, it sounds like he had like a real concussion.
Yeah.
Not these, a guy going into the protocol concussions. This is like a real, a legitimate head injury as opposed to some of the, the protocol concussions. So, yeah, this is, I don't know. I hate to say that. I mean, the Texans are 8-7. They're still in the hunt for a playoff spot. They probably. I mean, I guess the question is, who are they going to start? I mean, if CJ Stroud can't go, do you go with Case Keenum again, or do you try out Davis Mills? I mean, they looked better with Davis Mills last week, but the week before they looked better with Case Keenum. So,
yeah, it should also be noted that the Texans are 5.
Go ahead.
It should be noted the Texans are 5-3 at home,
Mm.
and the Titans are 1-6 on the road. Um, so again, it really comes down to whether or not CJ Stroud starts. If he starts, I feel more confident about
You see,
taking the
honestly, even if
Texans.
he starts, I don't feel that confident because I think a lot of the weapons are banged up too.
Yeah, well, he's lost Tank Dell for the year. That's a big hit for him.
I agree. Um, okay, honestly, with this one, give me the points. I'll take the Titans and the points. I, I don't feel great about this. Honestly, I probably would. I'm probably going to wait to bet on this just to see what the news shakes out, and then try to cap it from there. If I'm capping it today, on today's a Tuesday. If I'm capping it today, give me the Titans plus the 3.5. Just because I can see game scripts where the Titans could kind of beat up that Texans defense a bit, kind of ground and pound it, and grind their way to a win. But I could also see them getting absolutely wrecked if TJ Stroud comes back and he's firing BBs all over the field. But either way, at this point in the week, my lean is more toward the Titans than the 3.5. So, all right, massive early slate. Can't wait for that. That's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Late afternoon game moves us on to the late afternoon games. First one on my list: Steelers at Seahawks. Seahawks minus 3.5. Over under 41.5. The early bets here are 61% of the bets in the spread coming in the Steelers, 50-50 split on the over under, and 76% of the money line bets coming in the Seahawks. Honestly, for this one, give me the Seahawks. I'll lay the 3.5. Non-conference road spot, East Coast to West Coast for the Steelers. Don't like either of those. I don't think Mason Rudolph can put together two capable starts, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to run the ball quite as well against the Seahawks defense as they did against the beaten up Bengals. Also, the Seahawks still very much in contention for playoff spots. Still need to win. I think honestly, I think they kind of roll here. I don't think this one's all that competitive. Give me the Seahawks. I'll lay the 3.5. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, we're on the same page here. I like the Seahawks minus the 3.5. Yeah, like you said, I don't see Mason Rudolph putting together back-to-back winning performances. The Seahawks are, I believe, they're 5-3 at home. Sorry, 5-2 at home. And the Steelers are 500 on the road, 3-3 on the road. So yeah, the Steelers have underperformed all year. And I don't see them getting another bump thanks to Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, give me the Seahawks minus 3.5.
Okay. Great. Next on the list, Bengals at Chiefs. Chiefs minus 7 in Arrowhead. Over 144.5. Early bets here. 64% of the bets in the spread coming in the Bengals. 62% of the bets in the under. And 87% of the bets on the money line coming in the Chiefs. Honestly, I think a lot of folks had this one circled. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes in week 17. Oh well. Got the 8-7 Bengals against the 9-6 Chiefs. Mark, what do you do with this one?
I like this as a bounce back spot for the Chiefs.
Okay.
So I'm going with the Chiefs minus 7. I mean, I don't know if the Chiefs team is legitimately broken at this point. If they lose this game, then I guess you can make the case for the fact that they are in a bit of a tailspin. But I don't know if Jamar Chase is coming back for the Bengals. Browning the offense did not look as good without Jamar Chase out there last week.
I think he still threw for like 300 yards.
Yeah, he did.
He piles up the yardage, man.
Yeah. But so it'll be interesting to see if Jamar Chase comes back. But I do like this as a bounce back spot for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm on the Bengals. Give me the Bengals plus the 7. My thought process is that okay, so last year there was a lot of there's been criticism with and not last year, I take that back. But there's been criticism with Justin Fields unable to run the Matt Nagy offense.
You mean Patrick Mahomes?
No. Justin Fields couldn't run it, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So now we've got Patrick Mahomes, who looks like he can't run the Matt Nagy offense either.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Matt Nagy offense is what it takes to make Patrick Mahomes look like a human being. Um, this offense is a mess. Um, I think the way to beat the Chiefs right now is to run is up the middle, and I don't see this Chiefs team as being able to do that consistently. They don't have like with the Steelers, they have like the big body backs, and they got the change of pace backs. With the Chiefs, they don't really. They've got Pacheco, who's like a capable like every down back, but he's not really big bodied, and he's really more of an outside guy than an inside guy. And I guess you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he's not anything special on the inside. So I I don't think they have the weapons on the outside to really roast the Bengals here. So I think this is a close game. I understand why the Chiefs are getting 7. They're at home. Bengals are kind of have been really beaten up with injuries this year. I think this is this isn't that bad of a this is the the Bengals' big rival in the Chiefs. I think they kind of get up for this one. I think last week was kind of a look ahead spot, even though it was a divisional game. So give me the Bengals plus the 7. I think this is closer than you think. I like the Chiefs to win. I'm not sprinkling the money line, but I do like the Bengals to cover here. Give me the Bengals plus the 7.
All right.
Okay. Next up on my list, Chargers at Broncos. Broncos minus 5 is the line. Over under 39.5. What do you do with these two teams, Mark?
Even though the Chargers did, see a bit of an interim head coach bounce the last week, they performed better overall. They were able to move the ball down the field. Again, the Broncos still have something to play for here. They're at home. So I'm going with the Broncos minus 5. I still like their defense also. I think it's another situation where, they got, embarrassed on national television last week. And I see them bouncing back against a Chargers team that, overall hasn't performed very well at all throughout the course of the year. So this is, I don't know who the Broncos are playing next week, but this is basically the Broncos season. This is pretty much a must win for them. Being a division matchup. So, give me the Broncos minus 5.
Okay. I'm on the same page. I think it's Broncos at home. The Chargers, last week was kind of their Super Bowl. I feel like they wanted to come back and show out against the Bills. They kind of did that. Now they got to go back on the road. I think they get drilled again.
Yeah.
I think this is a get right spot for the Broncos here. There's just not. Yeah, I don't think there's one with the handicap other than I don't see Easton Stick looking capable for 2 consecutive weeks. So this is a really forgettable matchup. All right, next up, Sunday Night Football. Packers at Vikings. Vikings minus 1.5 is the line. Over under 46. The early bets here are 50-50 split in the spread. 92% of the bets in the over and 76% of the money line bets coming in the Packers. Both of these teams are 7 and 8. Honestly, I'm on the Packers here, and I'll tell you, I think the Vikings are going to be without T.J. Hawkinson. He's done for the season. He shredded his knee. I think they've lost just like a little too much in that offense. They keep kind of losing pieces there. It started with Kirk Cousins. They were able to get by with Josh Dobbs. Now they're losing Hawkinson, who's kind of like he's a target sponge for them. Him underneath. Whenever as a second read was something that they needed to make that offense go. Now they don't. Now they got to go with tight end X. They've got a guy on the roster named Oliver who's probably going to soak up some of those catches. But it's just not he's not. It's not quite the same without the big tight end there. That and I don't trust Nick Mullins in prime time. I don't really love. I don't love Jordan Love. There's a terrible pun there that I'm not going to try to put together. Um, but I think the Packers they got past the Panthers barely. Now they got to go on the road against division rival in December. I think they get this win. The line is telling you to take Minnesota.
Yeah.
Vegas is trying to tell you that Minnesota is going to win this game. I we'll see where it ends up. I think this one flips before kickoff. If you're gonna bet Minnesota, I'd try to wait. If you're gonna bet the Packers, I'd probably bet it now. Um, I'm on the Packers. I just think it's the better roster in better shape. That's yeah. It's really I just think it's a better team overall. I don't really trust that Vikings defense all that much. They look. I guess everybody looks kind of leaky at times against the Lions. They look super leaky. I never got the sense they were going to be able to stop the Lions if they needed to.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan Love. I think he can do enough to get the win. I think Aaron Jones is back and healthy. He had the big game last week. I would look for him. You probably lead on him for these last two games if they're going to try to make to get a playoff spot. So give me the Packers. I'll take the point or point and a half, whatever it is. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, I like the Packers plus 1.5. It should be noted that the Vikings are 2-5 at home this year. I don't really. I kind of feel like the Vikings should be the dog, but I mean, I guess they're at home. That's why they're not. But yeah. So they haven't announced whether or not they're gonna stick with Mullins, or I have heard word they might move to Jaron Hall, a
If
quarterback.
they go to Jaron Hall, jump on the Packers instantly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a reason they didn't jump to him after Josh Jobs, and I think he might suck.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the Packers have been middling most of the year, but the Vikings, over the past month have kind of been in a tailspin. So I like the Packers as a road dog here.
Okay, all right, right on. All right, we got to pick locks and dogs for this week, my friend. Who went? Did I go first last week, or I think I went first last week. No.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so it's your turn.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
Man,
It's a tough week. Tough week for dog. I'm gonna have to take an ugly dog.
yeah, it is. It is a tough week. There's a lot of.
I mean, I know who my lock is, but oh, okay. All right. There's a dog that's not quite as ugly that I can take it. I'll be okay with.
This might come back to bite me, but I'm going with the Broncos -5 as my lock.
Wow, that might come back to bite you. Okay. I think I locked up the Broncos last week. All right, who's your dog?
My dog. I'm gonna go the op. Well, I locked them up last week, but I'm gonna make them my dog this week. Give me the Dolphins +4 against the Ravens.
My lock is the Ravens.
Wow.
-4.
All right.
They're dude. The Dolphins are gonna want no part of that team. You might see the Dolphins turtle up in warm-ups. So, yeah, give me the give me the Ravens -4. My dog, Lions +6.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was okay. It was either that. It was either the Lions. I'm not taking the. I'm not. I said I was going to take the Jets. Panthers were a consideration, but I can't put the Panthers as my favorite dog. If I had to do I'm probably going to bet that, and I'm probably going to sprinkle the money line. Just because I'm so out on the Jaguars. But yeah, I'm not going to do the Saints. I think I'm probably going to bet that. It's going to be close. The Raiders +3 I thought about, but I'm going to bet it. I'm going to ride that hot hand. And Titans, no, I don't want to lock that one up. Bengals thought about it, but no. Yeah, so that I'll take the Lions as my dog. Is the thought process here?
Got it.
All right. In that case, hang on. All right. In that case, Mark, this has been the Locks and Dogs podcast for week 17 of the NFL season. Check out locksanddogs.com for the latest in gambling picks and news. Hit that subscribe button to get notifications for the latest episodes, and please leave us a review. We'd love to see the 5 stars, but we'd be happy to hear hear from you. We've done 17 of these episodes, so now we should be kind of hitting our groove here a little bit. If there's anything we can do better, anything we can do worse, please let us know. For Locks and Dogs, week 17, this is Matt.
This is Mark.
And we'll see you next week.